Hello, this is Yvonne Teoh Bource from Connect Soul with your soul wisdom for July 2nd. We've just slipped into July. Now, by the time that you hear this, I'll have to tell you that I'll be, or if you're listening to it on Monday the 2nd, then I'll be either on the plane on my way to Kuala Lumpur to visit my daughter and her family, or I will already have arrived. It depends on what part of the world you come from. So here we are. July has begun, and I am in the process of packing. So yes, it's interesting to carve out time for me, because as I've said to you before, time's always been something that I have to make sure I don't allow it to control me. And so I decided, no, I needed to do this, and I'm going to do it right now. Never mind anything else on the list. So here I am, and I hope you're having as great a time as I am. So today's topic is fairly interesting to me because as you know, most of this work, or all of this work, is guided. So when I asked what were we going to talk about, I was made aware of something that I asked a client of mine probably about 25 years ago. A young woman who came to me one day, and she told me that she had lost all joy in life. She was just not enthusiastic about anything. She was a beautiful dancer. That's how I knew her. My children went to the same dance school as she did. And she had a young family. She had everything to make her feel happy and grateful, but yet life was giving her nothing as far as she was concerned. So I sat for a moment, and suddenly this question came into my mind to ask her. And the question is this, and that is what I'm going to ask you, because it's a question I've asked myself many times to make sure that I don't leave anything undone. You know, Wayne Dyer used to say, do not die with your song unsung. I think I've sung all my songs and then some. I had a different phrase in my life. I used to tell my children that on my epitaph they needed to say, she lived every moment twice. And I think that's probably what I have endeavoured to do and still endeavour to do. But you can only do that if you're really present and really aware and really in a state of appreciation. So when I spoke to this young woman, the question that came up for her was, if this was the last moment in your life and you wanted to, pass over, or whatever you want to call it, I don't really believe in death, but transition, then what would you have needed to have experienced, and what would you have needed to have been or done in this life that you've just lived to go with complete peace of mind and a loving heart? And she just looked at me in horror, and then as quick as a flash she answered, love and laughter. I said, love and laughter? And she said, that's right. I would have wanted to have experienced love and laughter. I would have wanted to be in a state of love and laughter. So I said, well, how much of your life now do you experience love and laughter? And she says, none. So my next question was, so why not? Why are you doing stuff that is not giving you that experience? So from this day forward, you either need to do more loving and laughing, or you need to make sure that whatever you put your energy into is going to offer you that opportunity. It changed her life. So I sat with that question myself, and I asked myself, well, what would you have wanted, so what is the answer for you? If this was the last moment in your life to have peace of mind and heart, what would you have needed to have achieved, and what would you have needed to have experienced? And I know what that was, and I've lived my life by that. I wanted to have achieved, well, and I still do that every day. I wanted to achieve that when people pass my door, when they leave, I want them to feel better about themselves than before they came. And everywhere I do, I strive to offer that. The other one was, what would I have wanted to experience? And I really love the good life. I love luxury. I'm a 5-star girl. I'm not a girl that you take camping and, I like to travel on luxury cruises. I like to go on holidays where things are, I stay in luxurious places. And I've done all of that. I don't necessarily need to live in luxury all the time, although I like my comforts. But I just like to have that experience. So right now, when I look back at my life, I think that, every moment I feel complete. I have lived my life according to that. So when I was going to talk about this, I remembered there's a beautiful book written, and it was often talked about, the top 5 things that, the regrets of the dying, I think it's called, something like that. And I thought I'd just go through these, and I want you to really think about it in your life. So these were the top 5 things that people regret most as they're dying, that they haven't done, that they haven't completed, or that they need to do more of. So the first one, and that's probably the one that apparently most people come up with, is, I wish I'd had the courage to live a life true to myself, not the life others expected of me. Wow. You think about that. How much of your life are you living doing what you love, doing what your soul, gives you expansion for? Or how much of your life are you living according to the have-tos? I have to go to work because I have to pay the bills. I have to go and do this, and I have to go and do that, and I have to. You have to take the have-tos out of your life. Do things because you choose to. Of course, there are things that are not so pleasant. Do you know something? The last 3 days, I have done more washing than I've done in the last 3 months. Because all of a sudden I decided that whatever detergent I was using was not suitable to me. And so I just grabbed all my clothes and chucked them all in the machine, and I've just been going non-stop. Now, that's not a pleasant task. But I chose to do it, and because I chose to do it, I did it with grace, and I did it with gratitude that I have a washing machine to do it. Right? And I've got a nice warm house. Even though it was raining outside, I was able to hang it out around the house like a Chinese laundry, and everything's dry, everything's clean, and everything's fine. So you can always choose your attitude towards things. So don't spend your life doing things that other people expect of you unless you choose it. And if you don't want to do it, you say thank you, but no thank you, and I'm sorry, but I just can't commit to that right now. Because the first thing you need to do in this life is to be true to you. You did not actually come for somebody else. You did not come to live someone else's life. You came to live yours, as full as possible. That's what your life force wants. It wants to be able to express itself in all its glory in this physical experience. So don't get in the way. Right? That's a biggie. Be true to yourself. All right, so let's have a look at the second one, because that's really important to find out. The second one was, I wish I hadn't worked so hard. It's that lovely phrase that says, at the end of your life, nobody asks you how much time did you spend at the office. I'm not a great hard worker. And the people that know me will laugh and they'll say, oh my God, she's always working. Well, no, because you see, I work at my life's work. My work is my passion. So I don't see that as work. I just see that as constant learning and expanding and sharing, right? So I don't, I gave up a long time ago to be attached to that word, the job. Just over broke it stands for in my imagination. Right? The job. You have to have a job. That we're conditioned in school. You need to do your studies and you need to direct them so that you can have a job. Why not direct your studies towards so that you can feel expanded and passionate about what you're learning and exploring, right? So if you're working hard, you're not working at your passion. Because if you're working at your passion, work does not seem to be hard at all. It just seems to be a joy. So again, I'm asking you, where are you with that? Are you working really hard because you think, you have to? Because you have to pay the bills and you have to do this and you have to do something else? Stop. The thing about it is that people who are incomplete in their imagination, in that they feel that there are things that they wish they'd done more of, or things they still want to do, or things that they don't have the courage to do, that's all because you choose fear. Every time you choose fear, you're too frightened to live true to yourself because you're worried that people might not like you anymore, that people will think you're awful, but when you're true to yourself, you're absolutely glorious. You love more, you support people more because you're full in your own self, and so there's so much more to go around. It's only when you're not true to yourself that everything becomes a chore. And it's only true when you are working at a job you don't like that people are only getting, half of you, because you can't be fully you. So think about that. Where are you with that question? Where are you with that question? Let's have a look at the next one. Okay, the next one was, I wish I had the courage to express my feelings. Oh dear. Oh dear, 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 dear. How many people are afraid to express their feelings? Why? When you're a child, I tell you what, you express your feelings, don't you? Children do, because they don't have that understanding that it's not right. Feelings are very essential. They need to be expressed. The problem is that if you're afraid to express your feelings, they all get stuffed somewhere in your body, in your cells. And eventually they have to burst out, and usually they burst out into a disease. So expressing yourself fully and expressing how you feel and your emotions is essential to your health. The thing is, you have to learn how to express yourself. You need to be honest. Again, you need to be true to yourself, so that when you have a feeling and you want to express it, always express it from an I message. You know what? I feel about it this way. Well, what are they going to say? No, you don't. Well, if they do, that's their crazy idea. But you do. I feel about it this way. I see it this way. I would really like to express it that way. When you come from I messages, people can't argue because that is where it's coming from. But when you start saying, well, you make me feel this, and going there always makes me feel that, then you are blaming the outside world or other people for the way you feel. But that's not true. You're the one that's doing the feeling, so own it. And say, I feel this. The moment you do, you're being true to yourself. And then you deal with the feelings. But if you don't feel that you can say what you need to say, you have problems with your throat, you have problems with your stomach, because this is where your control center is, and it's just not necessary. Learn to speak in I messages and learn to express and honor how you feel about stuff, because your feelings are true. Your mind, with all that chatter going on that we talked about last week, it's not telling you the truth, it's telling you stories. Your feelings are they're honest. So honor them and express them. Okay, let's have a look at what else there is. I wish I had stayed in touch with my friends. Woohoo! Okay. Well, hey, let's face it, there's never been an age where it's easier to stay in touch with your friends, right? I'm in touch with my loved ones every day because we're all on WhatsApp. We've got a group thing going on. We've got Facebook, we've got Instagram, which I don't really like and I'm withdrawing from. But there are so many different technologies. We can have FaceTime with our loved ones overseas. I talk to my grandchildren on their way to school, in Kuala Lumpur, while I'm sitting having a coffee in Melbourne. And that is just magical. There is no excuse not to stay in touch with friends or your loved ones. It just takes a moment. But please, I beg of you, stop texting. Stop texting more than I'll meet you down the street for coffee. You want to go to a movie. Don't text anything emotional, because you've got to remember that, okay, you're watching me and you can see that I have a lot of expression in my face when I speak, okay? But if I put all of these words in a text, you would get a Johnny One Note. You would just get, yes, well, okay, so you must express your feelings because it's important to you, and so it just doesn't make sense. You can't hear the intonation of the person, you can't see the physical expression, so you interpret the words according to your silly stories, but it may not be the way that this was intended. I see more relationship breakups as a result of people texting their feelings to each other. Feelings are to be heard, expressed, seen, felt. Not text. No. Not emailed. No. Not written. No. Spoken, expressed, seen. Really important. So when you're staying in touch with your friends, do it through a means where you can see each other. And we do that. We have Skype, we have FaceTime, we have video calls. Come on. We live in an amazing world of technology, and if you are not playing with it, then you are left behind. But don't lose the human connection through texting. Yeah. One of my pet peeves. Because I see how destructive it is. It's very destructive when you are not able to see the person's face, their expressions. It just doesn't come across the way it's meant to, and always can be misinterpreted. But when you're seeing a person speaking, when you're connecting with them face to face, if you have a misunderstanding, you can say, hey, is that what you meant? You go, no. Could you possibly think that I meant that, right? You can get it done and out of the way. So, that's just something to think about. Yes, I think the people that wrote these things, they probably didn't use all of that technology, right? But we are just so fortunate that we can. Well, look at the last one. I wish that I had let myself be happier. Is that not the saddest thing? I wish that I'd let myself be happier. But why are we here if not to be filled with joy? There's so much to be joyful for. Why would you shortchange yourself and not allow yourself to be happy. All right, let's look at what makes us happy. Funny that, being true to ourselves. I think we've come full circle. Being true to ourselves, following our heart, doing what we're good at, doing what feels expansive. Keep coming back to that. Keeps coming back to me all the time. I will not put any energy into not feeling expansive. And I do it all the time. So I'll give you little examples about my day today. So I have to pack. I'm leaving at 4:45 in the morning and to get to the airport. So I have a list of stuff to do, right? Okay. But I thought this morning I had it all worked out. I would get up at I always get up about 5:30. So I was up at 5:30 and turned on a load of washing. And then I had this list of stuff to do. And then I thought I'll rush down the street because I have one more little thing to do down the street. And then I will rush back because my house sitter is coming at 11 and she's going to, and so I'll be back here by 11, and then I can think about, sorting out, I have to, do the vacuuming, and I've got to do the floors, and you get your house ready for a house sitter, right? And then I can pack. But it's funny because when I have those moments where I make those decisions, I always filter them through my cellular structure. I feel them. And it just did not feel right for me. It just felt like rushing, and I just don't, that doesn't give me peace. And I choose peace, and I choose ease and grace. And so I thought, you know what? Oh, and in the middle of that, I realized that I would still not have done my YouTube clip. And when could I do that? And when could I upload that? Because, wow, that takes time. A clip like this takes a bit of time to upload. And so, again, I had this time issue. So I just stopped, took a deep breath, and I said, you know what? None of that is working for me. So I changed the whole schedule. And here I am, quite peacefully. I've done several things this morning that needed to be done. And I'm doing this without any stress or any agenda of, I have to get this done quickly. And once I finish this, I will upload it for you. And then I will wait for my house sitter to come. And then I will go out to do that one little thing that I still need to do. And then I'll take myself out for lunch. And then I will cruise back home because I have plenty of time. Packing doesn't take that long. And then I will just pack with ease, and then I will have plenty of time to sit and put my feet up and just have a little bit more time with my beautiful little cats, who are getting quite anxious because they already know, they can feel that I'm not in my normal routine, and so they can feel that I might be taking off again. They're amazing animals, aren't they? They just know. They have such wonderful intuition. All right, so that's just an example of, in an everyday way, you can stop and get off the train and go, hang on, that doesn't feel right. I need to go where it feels right, where I can stay in a state of peace, in a state of joy, and just feel blessed. So I hope that this discourse is going to get you to have a look at your life. And the basis of it all is a question. If I have no more time and I look back on my life, what would I like to have done differently or more of? Now, for me, I don't think that any of what I have behind me I would do differently, simply because what you might call bad times have been such enormous lessons for me. I wouldn't be who I am today, and I like who I am today. I wouldn't be that if it hadn't been for those challenges that I had to drag myself out of, right? Because it made me realize just how much was still hidden and how much was still to do for me and to be for me. So no, I have no regrets at all. I don't believe in regrets. I have several things I would like to do more of. I would like to do more travel. I travel a lot. I love traveling. And I would like to go and visit a couple of places that I absolutely loved and I'd like to go back to. And, things like that. But other than that, I'm complete. I really have no things left behind undone. I live my life as if it is the last day. There isn't a day that I don't send a message to my closest, nearest and dearest to tell them how much I love them. None of my friends ever need to question, I wonder how she felt about it. Because I express that every time. Every time I see you, I say what I need to say to you, and I am complete. And if we meet again, that's a bonus. But there is never anything left unsaid. And so, completion, yes, I believe that we're all complete really at the end of the day. But is it the completion that you would like? So of course, again, I looked for a card to substantiate what we're talking about. Yes, you've guessed it. Absolutely. I picked completion. I think that's just really funny. I just love living in this state of synchronicity. It's wonderful. So here goes. Our natural state is of completion, unity and wholeness. The feeling of being incomplete, always in a state of becoming, is learned early in life and is not real. When at home with yourself, relaxed, the feeling of completion can be recognized instantly. On a practical level, this card calls for completion of any unfinished projects and reconciliation of any affairs with others. If you're feeling at loose ends, simply relax, knowing that in truth, all is complete. Recognize that the feeling itself of being incomplete is false. Truly allow yourself to be home, to be at peace. And choose love over fear with every decision you ever make, and you will always feel complete and at peace and have no regrets. So, the next time, I hope to be speaking from Kuala Lumpur. That's where I'll be next weekend. So have a wonderful week and be true to yourself and have no regrets. Live without regrets. I love you, love yourself more, and have a wonderful, wonderful week. Namaste.